Hi guys and welcome to the Porsche Panamera 4S E-Hybrid with sports response. So if you push this button, this small button once, you are absolutely in the fastest mode possible. This car is an absolute missile. Let me just calm it down for you. I'll put it into e-hybrid mode. So it now runs on full electricity. And that's what this e-hybrid stuff means. It means that this has a V6 engine producing a lot of horsepower combined with an electric engine. In total they put out 552 horsepower or 412 kilowatts. That's a serious number, it really is. 0 to 100 kilometers an hour takes just 3.7 seconds or 3.6 or 3.5 depending on the conditions. It's an absolute rocket. With this weather, it's snowing outside, it's minus what is it? It's -7 outside. It did a 3.8 in these conditions with winter tires. When the first Panamera Turbo was introduced, James May said that this moved like a stabbed rat, and he was absolutely right. And you know, the fun fact is that even considering the pre-facelift version, which was built from 2016 up until 2020, the 4S E-Hybrid is faster than the previous Turbo. It's faster than a Turbo, and it has the electric mode. It's the best of both worlds, it really is. Now one might argue that the Taycan is the future and it's a better car, and you know what, it probably is, but in this day and age, in 2021, in a country that doesn't have a very good charging network at the moment, would I buy a fully electric car myself? Probably not. Would I rent one? Yes, I would. Would I have one as a second car? Yes, I would. But would I have a full electric car to use as my daily driver? I think not. It's just a bit tad inconvenient still. In the USA with Teslas and stuff like that, you have supercharging networks. It's absolutely different. In Estonia, you don't have this type of supercharging availability. Yes, of course, there are chargers popping up everywhere, and probably you could, you know, take a ring around Estonia easily, but still it's a tad inconvenient. Now one might also argue that you can add a home charger and this will simplify things a lot, and it does, it really does, but there is still the factor that I like engine sound, and this car as a hybrid is the best of both worlds. I want the engine rumble, I want the oomph, I want characteristics of a V6, a V8 or a nice sounding engine, but also I like the convenience of driving in full EV mode if I like to. I was driving in e-hybrid, which means it's in full electric mode, and it has a bigger battery than the previous 4 hybrid. This is a 4S hybrid, S meaning the powerful version, and previously had a 14 kilowatt-hour battery. Now it has a 17 kilowatt-hour battery, which means a longer range on full electricity, around 50 kilometers. Can it do it? I sure hope so. This is now in hybrid auto, so the car, you know, decides by itself whether you should use petrol power or electricity or both or whatever. Basically, it's the best this car can do. Simple. Now if you turn this toggle, the drive mode toggle, to the right once more, you go into sport mode, and this is where things get interesting. Now we have the full power of everything all the time. So if you floor it, yeah, it really goes fast. It really does. It picks up and goes amazingly well, and that's due also to the fact that this car has a 8-speed PDK, a double clutch gearbox. It's silky smooth around the city. It's not a CVT, and I think that's the best thing about it. You know, Lexus and stuff like that, they use a continuously variable transmission, which means if you floor it, the car goes and that's it. When you floor this car, it has gears. just like a regular Porsche, just like a regular car. If you close your eyes and really want to think of it, you can imagine yourself in a 911. On the inside, it's basically the same as a 911. But yeah, you have to consider the weight of this car, which I will talk about soon. But yeah, if you go into sport mode, it's a completely different beast. Now there's also Sport Plus. It's basically just different settings for the car. So the exhaust system is turned on if you have that option. This car has that sports exhaust option, which is quite an expensive add, I must say. Chassis height goes into low, and you get Sport Plus on the dampers, which means yes, this car handles well, but it's also a bit bumpy, and I really don't see the point of Sport Plus in winter times. Maybe if you are in perfect driving conditions in the Alps or something like that, or on the Autobahn, you can use it, but in Estonia, Sport is all you need, really. You also have different hybrid modes. You can switch, let me just see where it is. You can switch between hybrid auto, e-hold, which will hold the battery charge, and e-charge, which is I was using to get to my filming location to make electricity. So I can show you how the, electricity side works. I like that they added the e-charge mode, because this means on the roads like these I can use the full power of the V6, and when I get into the city I can just cruise along, not annoying activists and green people and the polar bears. Okie dokie. I think this is the power side taken care of. Steering feel is very nimble for a car this size. By the way, it is by far, I think, the widest car I have driven on my channel, and you really feel it on tight parking spaces, and even driving around the city, you really do wish that it was just a couple of centimeters narrower. But then again, you do get used to it, and it's not a problem. It's just a thing I had to mention because this is an extremely wide car. Steering feel is much sportier than the car by its weight and size would suggest. This car also has the optional rear wheel steer, which really helps when maneuvering in tight parking spaces, etc. This means that whenever you are driving fast, the car it helps cornering, and when you are parking it goes the opposite way, so it's easy to maneuver this big beast. It's a bit slippery out there. Yeah. Do not want to crash this car because it is really expensive. Quickly, let me just mention the fact that price doesn't matter in this type of car. It really does not. Businessmen who want to buy a sporty car, a nice car, and an interesting car, this is what you choose. Let's consider the other options quickly. Lexus, it's a hybrid. It's a bit boring, and it's not sporty at all. If you want, sportiness. Audi, it's just like a big A6, nothing special. A very nice car, but it's just again a tad boring. BMW with the new 7 Series, yes, it's better. It's a bit more on the sporty side. But yeah, a Porsche is a Porsche, really it is. And then there's Mercedes with its brand new S-Class, and there's just a hint of old fart to the S-Class. You just do not get that in the Panamera. If you are successful, you are below 50 and you wanna drive a daily driver that's basically a sports car, this is what you get. The Panamera is what you get, and price isn't the thing that's not even considered by these people. If their monthly payment is 1,000, 2,000, even 3,000 euros, probably they won't even blink an eye. It's just a nice thing they want to buy, and Porsche knows it because they have priced and optioned this car just for these type of people. The car I'm driving right now, list price is 130,000 euros in Estonia, optioned out with not much kit, but the necessary stuff, and it jumps to 170,000 euros. I really tried to make this car fully optioned out in the Porsche configurator, and it ended up 215,000 euros for an SE hybrid. Now consider the fact that there is a Turbo S and a Turbo SE hybrid available, so that's not even the most expensive Panamera out there. This car doesn't do compromises. It's just the best the car world has to offer in a sedan luxury car package. The questions really are, how fast do I want my Panamera to be, and what color should it be? Let me quickly show you the launch control feature. So in Sport Plus, traction control off, foot on the brake, smash the throttle and hold on for dear life. Traction really is a problem currently, but even with these conditions, this is a seriously fast car. Continuing on with the tech stuff and in the interior as a whole, and I do have a couple of complaints, and you know, I really do have to have some complaints, otherwise what's the point of me reviewing cars? Anyway, buttons. What the hell was wrong with buttons? And this isn't a problem with Porsche in general or the Panamera. You know, Volkswagen Group, etc. All the car, you know, makers, they are ditching buttons in favor of touch screens, in favor of haptic feedback buttons. What was wrong with buttons? Really? It was simple. When I wanted to use my exhaust button, I knew exactly where it was on the old Panamera or the Macan or the Cayenne. In this car, I have to go into a car menu and then drive and then switch off and on the exhaust via the touchscreen. And yeah, there are lots of other things I would like to have in this console right here. For example, a button for the cameras, a button for the spoiler, a quick button for the chassis controls would have been very nice as well. But yeah, all of them have moved to the touch screen. And as far as touch screens go, this is a very good one, I have to admit. But still, it's a touchscreen, and in a sports car like this, I think it's actually a bit of a safety hazard to, you know, start searching for the buttons in the menus. Why didn't they just keep with the buttons? And one more thing, all the buttons down here in the console, they are what's called a haptic feedback button. So if you push, for example, the heated seats, you know that you push the button because it makes a nice clicky sound. It's better than just a touch screen. So let's make it clear so that the automakers would hear us. Bring back the buttons. Really, please. Okay guys, so let's take a quick look on the outside of this Panamera. It's a cherry metallic paintwork, basically a burgundy red. It's absolutely gorgeous. But having said that, my specification would still be a darker outside color and a, you know, beige or gray or white interior. You get these e-hybrid, you know, acid green logos everywhere around the car. From the factory, this would come with acid green calipers as well, but this is an optional extra, you know, the red calipers. Now these wheels are 20-inch, and for the winter time they are absolutely perfect. If it was summertime, I would go an inch higher. 21 inches would just hit the spot very nicely. These are the Matrix LED headlights with the black surrounds. These are of course an optional extra, not a cheap option by the way, but they do look absolutely gorgeous. And would I pay extra for the black surrounds? I think not, because they aren't that different, but the LED headlights are really good. Moving on to the back of the Panamera, and the first thing you notice is the light bar. It really shows off during nighttime, so it's not that visible right now, but this is a feature of the new facelifted Panamera, and across the Porsche range they use these light bars that go across the boot, and they really do look good. Panamera logo here, acid green again, as you can see. Now to open the boot there are many options. You can use your foot and it will just open. Of course you can use the button down here. As you can see, there is a nice latch that covers everything. It's actually leathery feeling, it's very quality. Boot itself for a sort of hatchback sedan is very big. You can fit baby strollers here, no problem. Skis, snowboards, many suitcases, no problem. To close it, just push the button and it closes. Backup camera. Yeah. One thing we should also mention is the sports exhaust. This is an optional extra with these black surrounds. I hope you can see, but these look very good. Now, although this is a hybrid, it doesn't mean it should sound badly, and it surely does not. This thing pops and bangs and, you know, gargles. It basically sings. Keyless entry and drive is a thing that's... There's a bird singing up in there really loudly. Anyway, keyless entry and drive is an option that's fitted standard to many cars that are, you know, 30, even 20,000 euros. But this car doesn't have it, it's an optional extra. But at least all the 4 doors have sensors. And let me just quickly show you one of the best features, I think, in the Panamera. Yeah, all the Panameras have it since Gen 1, and it's magnetic doors. Wherever you stop the door, the magnets hold it in place. This is one of those features that you don't know you missed before you tried it. This is the regular version. There is an executive long wheelbase edition as well. But yeah, plenty of room in the back. Just squeeze myself in here. Oh yeah, Isofix, very easy to attach, no problem whatsoever. This is a full black leather interior without the Alcantara headlining. I think this is an optional extra I would want. But as you can see, knee room is decent, headroom is okay. I have 2 panoramic sunroofs. One opens and the other one does not. Otherwise, the interior is very hard to fault. Leather quality is the best I have experienced. Steering wheel is the right size. You have this drive mode button, which is very nicely positioned, so you can, you know, scroll between your hybrid and sport modes. Pedals are metallic feeling, no plastic stuff here. There are no squeaky materials, there are no bad plastics, leather here and there. Both places where you keep your elbow are soft and nicely bolstered. A sport chrono clock is on the dashboard here, which makes it feel like a sports car. Yeah, it's really hard to say anything bad about the interior. In the dial layout, you have a big middle tachometer, just like the Porsches of old. It's not a digital screen, and I love it for that. And you have all the, you know, stuff you need in the 2 digital screens on both sides. So they didn't miss out on that as well. The screen on the facelift version has gotten a bit bigger. Do you notice it? Really not. The thing about Porsches is that whether they make a GT car or a luxury cruiser, the driving position is always just spot on, and the seat goes very low. You can really feel that you are in control of the car, not the opposite way around. What are the changes on the outside with this facelift? Just as in the interior, it's really hard to distinguish the pre-facelift with the facelift. If you aren't a real Porsche person, if you don't live with the car every day, you don't really see or notice the differences. But there are some. One of the key things is that there is a new LED light bar going across the back boot, which, you know, it represents the Porsche range better now. Now the new 911 has the LED bar back there, and yeah, it's a Porsche thing, and it's really not a bad solution, because it looks absolutely gorgeous. I really welcome it in this car. Of course, you get new bumper designs front and back. I think the LED headlights are designed a bit differently, but considering the fact that the pre-facelift already had a very good looking LED headlight setup, it's really hard to fault it. It's just newer and a bit better. That's just what it is. Porsche has really gone down the route that why change something that really works? And they shouldn't, because this is a complete package inside and out. It looks gorgeous with these lines. Interior feels like you're cocooned in a sports car that weighs, a couple of tons. You don't feel it though. Talking quickly about the engines, the facelift brought two new versions, a 4S e-hybrid, which is this one, and a Turbo S, a non-hybrid Turbo S. And for example, in countries where the car tax is calculated on the CO2 emissions, these electric hybrid powertrains make the most sense in the world, because for example in Finland a Turbo S is more expensive than the Turbo S e-hybrid, which is just ridiculous, but due to the car taxes in Finland, that's what it is. Hybrids are cheap to buy, cheap to insure, cheap to run, so these are basically the no-brainer choices if you buy a brand new Panamera. Previous generation I would have picked the Turbo any day of the week, mostly due to the V8 sound. It just sounds so good. It's glorious, the rumble it makes. I'm gonna insert a launch control video with a previous Turbo here. But this V6, it's not bad at all. Would I prefer the V8? Probably, yes, I would get it, but considering everything, and would I pay like 50,000 euros more for the Turbo S e-hybrid? Probably wouldn't be worth it actually. It's just such a small tone difference in the V8 or the V6, but the 4S e-hybrid is more than enough for even the most critical businessman. Last year I had the chance to drive the Panameras and all the different cars, the 911, the Cayman, the Taycan, during the Porsche Ice Experience. It's a basically drifting event in Finland. They also had the Panamera GTS in Sport Turismo trim. I'm gonna insert some clips right here so you can see what I was driving, but it was a really good exercise to learn how to manage the car's weight. And I think it's critical to understand that yes, this car weighs like a small elephant, but it doesn't mean it's bad for it, and you can use the car's weight differently if you drive fast. So yeah, in conclusion, what do I think of the Panamera 4S e-hybrid 2021 facelifted version? I think it is absolutely the best car you can buy if you have the money and you want a all-round daily driver. My friends always ask me what car I would have if money wasn't an issue, and I had to pick one car to drive daily. Every time I think about it, a couple of seconds, and I just cannot think of a better car than a Panamera as a daily driver. Thank you for watching. This was a joy to drive. And yeah, bye bye.